Good morning, everyone, and welcome and thank you for joining today's workshop. We're excited to have you with us. Today, we're diving into a highly relevant topic for modern retail, how to customize business analytics specifically for retail chains, and more importantly, how FootfallCam is helping bridge the gap between traditional data and the advanced actionable metrics retailers need to stay competitive. Leading today's session is our Director of International Sales, Dr. Melissa Carroll, who brings deep insight into how retailers around the world are transforming data into smarter decision-making.
Hello, everyone. So let me share my screen. I hope you can see my screen now. Okay. Thank you for joining us today. This session is designed for IT leaders in retail. So those of you who have been at the heart of driving your company's digital transformation, you have likely invested heavily in capturing data from across your stores, traffic, sales, operations, customer behavior, and that data just keeps growing. But here's the shared challenge we have heard over and over again. We have all this data, but what do we actually do with it? So you are not alone, and many retailers do feel the pressure of needing to show results. But the link between data and clear business action often feels missing or buried in complex dashboards. So each store has its own quirks, each region has its own rhythm, and that makes one-size-fits-all solutions feel a bit disconnected. And that is why we have called today's webinar the Custom Business Analytics for Retailers. This isn't just about generating more charts. It's about bridging the gap between what your business wants to achieve and what your data is trying to tell you in a way that's meaningful for what your unique setup. So over the next few slides, I'll take you through how we approach this gradually and practically and show you how you can start to translate your data into something that supports your business goals every single day. Okay. So this session is part of a longer webinar series we have been running to support the retailers in every stage of their digital transformation, from planning to implementation, and now towards the real business value. In the previous section, the sessions part 1 to 4, if you have been following along, we focus on helping you choose the right foundational elements that included selecting the right technology stack, deciding on the equipment, the sensors, and the platforms, and making sure your data infrastructure from AI models to reporting layers is in place and reliable. So by this point, most of you already have that core setup. So you have got the data coming in, you have built your reports, you may even have heat maps, dashboards, and forecasts populating regularly. But still, there's a feeling that some things is missing. And that's what this session is all about. Because every retail business is different. Your operating model, your KPIs, your store layout, your customer journey, they're all different, which means the standard dashboard and reports often fall short when it comes to giving you the exact insights you need. So today we will focus on how to customize and adapt your analytics. So by defining your own business specific metrics and by simulating actions using AI to predict the outcomes before making a change. And this shift from descriptive reports to prescriptive recommendations is what unlocks the true data-driven decision-making. And that's where we are headed next. So now let's take a moment to acknowledge the elephant in the room. So why has this not already happened at scales despite all the available technology and proven case studies? The first and perhaps most fundamental challenge is vision, or rather the lack of one. Now, many organizations embark on digital transformation initiatives, but sometimes without a clearly defined business goal. They might have bits of data here and there, some AI pilots running in silos, and various tools deployed across the different departments, but they lack an overarching vision of how this all connects to business outcomes. Yeah, so what does success look like? What KPIs should it move? And which departments need to collaborate together? So digital transformation is not an end in itself. It is the means to achieve a deeper operational and commercial vision. But if that vision isn't clearly articulated, then the data and AI efforts remain fragmented. And because of that, then they become mistrusted by the stakeholders. And second challenges is resourcing. So even with the best intention, digital transformation is a multi-year commitment. It's not going to happen overnight. It requires cultural shifts within your organization and the reorganization of legacy data pipelines, merging of the subsystems, and an adoption of a new operating models. So a lot's going to happen. And most importantly, it demands a top-down sponsorship. And while the infrastructure and AI tools are technically ready today, crossing from the early adoption to early majority, it is still a heavy lift. So many organizations are at the edge of the chasm and need both courage and commitment to leap across. Now, without sufficient investment, both financial and human, as in time and effort, the progress can stall, they often stall and get abandoned in the end. So finally, the third barrier is an absence of a unified ecosystem or an enterprise-grade platform. So one that can bring together all the fragmented data sources so that you can create a trusted and secure data layer, and then allow each department to deploy their own analytics application on top of that layer. So we're not talking about yet another reporting dashboard. We're talking about a full ecosystem, one that supports a use case specific apps for sales, marketing, operations, IT, HR even. So each consuming from the same stream of intelligent data, yet serving their own KPIs. It must be customizable, and interoperable, and capable of learning across the time and stores. So while there are efforts in this direction, most retailers today still don't have access to this kind of mature and proven infrastructure. The results, it's a patchwork of disconnected effort, unfortunately, still there. So in short, a missing end goal, a lack of top-level commitment, and an absence of a shared enterprise-grade platform. Those are the three key reasons this transformation hasn't happened yet at scale. But the good news is all three are now solvable. And now let's walk through what a fully realized data transformation pipeline looks like. From the moment a sensor detects a movement in the store, all the way through to the board level business decision. So at the first stage, we're dealing with raw data. So sensor readings like footfall counts, dwell times, staff movement, all of them. On their own, these are numbers. These numbers are granular, but not immediately useful yet. So in stage two, these readings are aggregated and contextualized. This is where we combine them with other data sources as well. For example, your EPOS transaction logs, weather data, promotional calendars, store layout, metadata, even like shelf stocking patterns or demographic profiling. So the result is an enriched layer of aggregated metrics, forming the data foundation for the next level. Now, usually then this is where business are talking about the KPI, and these aggregated metrics are translated into department-specific KPIs, such as your conversion rate, your queue waiting time, staff to shop ratio, your service quality indicators, or category engagement metrics. So each department as well, the marketing, operation, store layout planning, now has a set of metrics to align their performance with the business goal. But these metrics alone, they don't drive action. So if you only just have metrics, you're not immediately into the KPI. If you're only just having the metrics and that KPI, it's not really business driven. It's not It's not intelligent enough. So now that's where the prescriptive analytics comes in. So using machine learning, simulation models, and predictive analytics, we generate recommended actions. So what happens if we extend our opening hours, for example, you may ask, and how would adding a checkout counter impact the queue abandonment? So what's the cost benefit of moving a product display? So this, when you come up with this kind of more enriched data, this is then giving you your true KPI. So what is my customer experience index? All those for that. So you can get a more a balanced scorecard. So your footfall, your sales conversion is just one of those index. So with a fuller picture, then you get a balanced scorecard that is giving you a fuller picture. So now then comes stage 5, which is your execution. These recommendations are operationalized through real-time dashboards, robotic process automation, or staff guidance systems. So you can deliver insights to the right stakeholders at the right time, so often embedded within their day-to-day tools. So you integrate it with their display, with their handhelds, and with their tools. So making it actually actionable on the spot. Now then finally, the stage 6 is the feedback and governance. And this is where management gets clarity through the performance scorecards, your monthly dashboards, monthly performance reports and dashboards, and your A/B testing results. So this feedback loop closes the system and help everyone learn what's working and where to iterate. So this workflow isn't just a theory, it's a backbone of effective digital transformation. And in this series, we will be diving deeper into each stage so your team can start building towards this end stage. So when people talk about digital transformation, they tend to focus only on what they can see, the devices and the dashboards. Devices meaning the sensors or the AI cameras installed in store, and dashboards meaning the software interface showing the visual charts. But this is just the surface. The real challenge isn't the lack of devices or even the lack of software. There's plenty of that. What's truly missing is the glue that connects the raw data to actionable business results. This is where two critical enablers come in: the custom metric modules and the AI simulation module. So the custom metric modules lets business define success in their own terms, because every retailer has different operation models and they have different goals. So a generic dashboard can't capture the nuance needed to drive meaningful performance. So with this module, the teams can align the raw sensing data with their unique KPIs, be it its staff efficiency, dwell to conversion ratios, queue abandonment, or service time. It enables them to set their own metrics, a custom metrics that is tailored, dynamic, and specific to their brand. So different teams can work together. Then comes the AI simulation module, which brings prescriptive analytics to life. It doesn't just describe what's happening, it simulates what could happen next and what actions you should take to obviously optimize or to increase your sales. So this is how you can predict the business impact of operational changes. You can test different staffing strategies, your different campaign, and even forecast revenue shifts based on your shopper behavior. So it's about giving decision maker the confidence to act backed by evidence-based recommendations. Not gut feeling, not guesses. So most importantly, both of these enablers allow for scalability and standardization and transparency. So this is critical for deployment across hundreds of stores, especially for retail chains. So they are the foundation for an AI-driven retail platform that really deliver measurable results. So let's talk about why now. Why this moment matters more than ever for retailers to embrace AI, not as a future bet, but as a present day necessity. First, we all know the competitive advantage is shifting. We are entering into a more volatile, competitive retail landscape where operational efficiency, speed, and customer understanding are not just nice to have anymore, they are survival tools. So AI gives you the ability to optimize at scale and consistently across hundreds of your stores. It's no longer about managing operations store by store. It's about learning from all your stores together. So sharing what works, what does not work, and scaling it quickly. So retailers who have adopted this approach are already seeing measurable wins. And this means one thing. So if your competitor are adopting AI, you kind of can't afford to wait. So it's not just a technology race, it's a business advantage race. And often the winner takes all. Now, second, and perhaps most importantly, is because the infrastructure to make this transformation possible already exists. So with a single device like our FootfallCam Pro 2, you can now connect to your existing in-store CCTV cameras as well. Up to 7 of it. So it instantly unlocks the deep behavioral data without the need for costly new installations. And that's a massive cost reduction and a coverage boost by a factor of 10 or even 20 times compared to legacy system just a year or two ago. So on top of that, advancements in edge computing. So AI chipsets and the graph neural networks, or we call it the GNN, means that you're not just counting visitor, you are understanding their shopping intent, their buying intent, you're understanding their behavior, their journey inside your store and the patterns in real time and at edge. So you don't have to worry about your bandwidth or anything. And it's not just about the device, it's also about the platform. For example, our V9 ecosystem brings your entire retail operation from marketing, sales, ops, IT, and even security, as in our previous webinar, into one unified system. So everyone sees the same source of truth, but you can interpret it through the lens of their own KPI for the different department. This is collaboration made possible by data. Now, the third of it, and this is often overlooked, AI needs time to learn. They don't happen overnight. Now, the sooner you start collecting data, even just running in observation mode, the sooner the system can start refining its accuracy, learning your store layout, your shopper patterns, your staff behavior, and so forth. If you wait, you're losing the training time. But if you start now, even in a pilot, your AI will be far ahead when you're ready to scale it. So because AI doesn't learn overnight, it gets smarter. It actually gets smarter with time with you. So when we ask why now, the answer is because the economics make sense, the technology is ready, and the business urgency is undeniable. So many retailers are starting their retail journey, their AI journey, but without a clear, proven roadmap. That's what we're here to provide. So here we're going to highlight the two central pillars of our platform. The hardware. Let me move these a little bit. The hardware that captures accurate real-world measurements, and the software that empowers users to act on those insights. Now, while many focus on just sensor accuracy or good-looking dashboards, the real value actually lies in what happens in between the sensor and the software. So what's happened, actually, what we call the intelligence level, that turns the raw data into actionable business outcomes. And that's where our AI engine and custom metric system come in. It's not just about visualizing the trends. These are statistics. It's about transforming data into a more meaningful KPI that align with your business goals, whether it's operational efficiency or a sales uplift or staff productivity. So we don't just report what's happening. We actually run simulations and predictive models and like what if scenarios. So decision maker can test it, plan for it, and then forecast or before making a real world change. So this is very, very powerful because making a real world change is very costly, very time consuming, it takes time. Now imagine you can do all your AI simulation, you can run 50 of them or even 500 of them without any cost. So this isn't just analytics, as we mentioned, it's not just statistics and analytics, it's prescriptive analytics that give you a very clear data-driven recommendations that's tailored to your business. And while we bring the industry standard workflows and structure, we also allow full flexibility through the custom metric engine. So each team, each different team, as we mentioned just now, can define what success looks like and what measure progress in real time for their own team. And at the core, this enables the evidence-based, repeatable, and scalable optimization. The AI simulator actually helps ensure the recommendations are consistent and transparent and based on the accumulated experience, not obviously not guesswork. So let's look into we dive into one of the So sorry, if we go into the first one, this is the most foundational modules in the entire architecture, the Custom Metrics Factory. This is not just another reporting tool. It is a programmable workspace built into our E9 platform that empowers the retailers to define their own KPIs based on their unique operational goals and build them on top of the raw sensing data and also third-party data. You can have third-party data like weather, population data, and so forth. Why does this matter? Because in most retail environments, the gap between the raw data and the business decision is very wide. Sensors may tell you how many people entered a zone or how long someone is queuing, but what's the business impact? So those are raw data. And that translation requires a layer that converts those raw signals into a defined and trackable and customized performance metrics. And that's what the Custom Metrics Factory enables. So each metrics is defined structurally, how the data is ingested, how it's calculated or blended with other resources. So let us look a little bit here. If we look at here, so you can go here and you can look at things like you can probably look at, I want to see the path to purchase efficiency, and that's a metrics. So how you're measuring the how efficiently a shoppers convert as they move through the store. You can have occupancy count, counting, detecting a manager in a specific area, detecting different crew, the kitchen crew, the service crew, how they're moving in the specific area. You can define your different demographic group that is specific to your business. You can customize that. Your marketing ROI, how do you define your marketing effectiveness, and so forth. And what you could do here is that you can, of course, you can add a new metrics. You can build it from a metric template, which then makes it very easy for a less technical person to use, because it's all, a lot of things are predefined. They just make changes to some of those parameters, or you can build from scratch if you're very capable. You can obviously make it active. You can set access control to see who can access this specific metrics. You can edit it, you can delete it, and so forth. So all that. And for example, here you can look at so maybe you want to look at serving time, on your average serving time. So you can put it a name, give it a description. You are wanting to measure a count or aggregation or a duration, in what kind of format, how often you want to process it, and what kind of access control, who can have it, and how long you're retaining. So you can set all this up here, what kind of data you're logging into here, whether or not you want to do immediate data roll up, because you probably don't want raw data as and when it happened, you probably want to roll it up into per minute. You have the rule template, how often you want it to be, and so forth, how you're wanting to aggregate all this. And we also have a user guide here to teach you, to go through different metrics, how you're setting up the data source configuration, all of this here. Then you can click on here to have a look at that. So what it also critically it allows customization at scale. So many businesses share similar goals. The details differ. So you can start from best practice template, as I showed you just now, or you can build from scratch. And think of this not as just a calculator. It's not just a logic or a metrics that you just built, but as an orchestrator of the entire data pipeline. So from ingestion to transformation to visualization. So it ensures the alignment across all the stakeholders, from the IT team handling the device uploads to the analysts consuming the API feeds. So, and to operation managers who are just relying on the dashboard, who is actually seeing it. That's probably the end user. So this is all in an enterprise-grade analytics platform. The flexibility is non-negotiable, of course, and what allows the analytics to evolve alongside the business, rather than becoming obsolete as soon as strategies change. So you can see that will actually grow with your business. Now let's walk through this in a conceptual diagram to show how the custom metrics factory connects all the moving parts, from data collection to more actionable business outcomes. So at the top here, we have the custom metrics factory, which acts as the control tower. This is where the stakeholders define what. So hang on, I'll just put it over here. This is where the stakeholders would define what really matters to them, the metrics that reflect their actual business goal, and whether it's queue abandonment rate, your staff responsiveness, your dwell time conversion, or the product interaction ratios. Once these metrics are defined, they flow into the configuration module. This module isn't just a setting panel, is a synchronizer. It makes sure the entire data pipeline operates in alignment with the defined KPIs. That means when the devices only upload what's needed, no more, no less, and this reduces bandwidth, storage, and processing burden. The data pipeline adjusts accordingly, knowing which data streams to extract, merge, aggregate, process, display. So calculations are aligned to the business logic, not just the technical logic. So from there, the output is grouped into the different metric groups. These are curated collections of KPI relevant to the specific teams, and serves as a foundation for the downstream systems. Then comes the AI simulation and the prescriptive layer. So using the well-defined structured metrics, we can now train simulations that forecast the future scenarios or recommend actions. For example, what if we added another till? What will happen to the queue? What happens if we close early on Friday? How does it impact our sales? So it becomes a testing bed for operational decisions. So finally, these metrics and insights are published to the end user layer through the app and the application layer, to the dashboards, to alerts, to API, and to benchmarking tools. So therefore, each metrics is not just a number; it's a target and a performance indicator that align directly with the business strategy. So this diagram represents an end-to-end orchestration where the custom metrics factory acts as the brain, coordinating every layer of the stack, from device uploads to data ingestion to processing to simulation to actionable delivery. Yeah. So let's walk through the actual metrics factory, which is live inside a real V9 account. Let me go through there. So, for example, so here, so from the top right here, hang on, to apologize. So here, apologies, I'm trying to find I probably have. Don't worry if I don't show you anything, it will all be here that you can look at. So so you will have a tree view of all the metrics that you build. Again, you can then show which one you want it to be active, which one you want to remove, what access level you are assigning them to, because not everyone in the company can see everything. So you can have access control on that. And so on there, you can create a new metrics. So most users will start with a template. So template comes with the predefined ingestion rules. For example, here, how you come down on there. Sorry, I think it's all here. That's the tree view that I mentioned about when you give regional access control, and then how you ingest the rules. So as I mentioned, as I show you here, there's some more there here, which is and you can then set the aggregation template as well. So all this will have with the metric cube mapping, schema definitions, and activation status. So all this you can do that. So health check and integrity tools are built in as well. So if something breaks, say ingestion fails or a sync drops, so notifications are triggered and logs are traceable. So there's even a data audit page for every metric showing, like, say, 60 days of historical trend line or your cross benchmarked with related metrics. So like comparing your queue count accuracy versus your people in and out flow. So everything here is designed to give full visibility into the metric reliability. So what went wrong and who configured and whether the outputs can still be trusted. So this is just a surface. A later webinar will dive into how developers can build the new metrics from scratch. So that will be in a different webinar. So now let's go and look at so this is what we have shown. Now look at the AI simulation module. The core intelligence layer behind our prescriptive analytics is this AI simulator module. Just like ChatGPT is powered by a LLM, the large language model, our ecosystem uses this simulation module as the brain that learns from millions of shopper journey. It's built on a graph neural network, or call it the GNN, which allows it to deeply understand the relationship between your customer demographic, their movement path, their dwell zone, and purchasing patterns across all your different stores, across different times of the day, and whether or not you have campaigns. So this engine supports two main modes of simulation. One, first, there is a single scenario simulation, where it's designed for analysts to test a specific what if. So for example, what if we move this promotional stand to another aisle? What if the entry pattern changes due to a new mall entrance? The second mode is the recursive Monte Carlo simulations. I'll talk a little bit more later, which can run the same scenario hundreds of times with varied parameters. And this reveals the statistical probabilities, the shopper behavior trends, and even the likely success or failure of layout changes or marketing initiative. This is especially useful for larger organizations to make a more data-backed strategic decision. So both of the simulator as well before implementing anything physically. Monte Carlo specifically very useful for retail environment because a lot of things are not linear. So you could have multiple things happening together. Yeah. So AI simulation module. So on the screen. So let me show you one thing. Like here. If I get to the right page, I'm so sorry. I'm getting all my stuff jumbled up. Yeah. So for example, you can see this is an example of an AI simulation feed into our Sales Companion app. So this Sales Companion app is an app that you can just display on any tablet or any screen in your store for your sales staff, your sales associate. So here the assistant on the shop floor is notified in advance, so you can look at all those in the next 3 hours. You're going to have 720 customers are expected to come in, with 40% of them being coming on their own, but they're likely to browse the certain fashion, where 15% are going to be the couples who are likely to purchase the co-branded t-shirt. So this will preempt your staff. So this is where it becomes usable. So the data, so a lot of retailers are asking, what can the data ask me to do? So this is where it's true value of that. So these AI simulation modules will unlock a wide array of applications. So not only just these sales things, from dynamic staffing. So where should your staff go? Should they stay on the shop floor because more people are going to come in? Or should they go into the stock room to take up all the teas because it says you're going to have a lot of couples buying a certain type of tea, so you better stock up and bring it onto the shop floor? So things like this. So these are where all of which we will dive deeper on this in the upcoming webinar. We'll talk a little bit more, but this is what transforms data into foresight. And so that you turn operational insight into a competitive advantage because you can react on real time. You can even preempt what's going to happen so that your staff is actually prepared for what's coming so that they can optimize their sales even better. So now let's walk through the core engine that powers all of this. We do have this user guide that you can click on, which I hope is here. So this is the user guide there. So let's walk through how this works. So now think of it as a way, think of it this way. So across all your entire store, your whole estate, even if only half the stores are equipped with a full in-store analytics, we are already collecting a massive variety of data points. For each shopper, we might know that this is a 35-year-old male who stayed for 3 minutes and 45 seconds, for example, or another one might be a young female between 18 to 25 years old and who browsed for over 15 minutes. So we track all this, and you have lots of this data, and we track who they are, what path they took, all this, and also contextual data as well. For example, when they come in, was it sunny when they entered? What promotions was running when they entered, and how far was that day from Christmas? And even the store environment. So all this contextual data, you have all this. It's very rich data that you have, and now multiply it across your hundreds of stores and every day. So over time, we're talking about millions of data samples that you're going to have. And this is where our spatial temporal graph neural network comes in. It is trained on this huge data set that you have. And once it's trained, it can simulate new scenarios. For example, you might ask, what will happen today if it is sunny and it's 40 days from Christmas and 1,000 people are expected to come in, with 35% of them being female, and there's a promotion going on? So, and we can run this simulation once to answer a specific what if, or we can run it 50 times as a Monte Carlo simulation to extract the statistical trends. So, which is what's the most likely shopper behavior? How will the engagement shift? Where they're going to engage? So forth, and what's the sales conversion forecast? And this doesn't stop there. This simulation results can be used to train the next machine learning layer that actually recommends the changes, which we'll talk about in our upcoming webinar. So this is the brain of our system, processing millions of scenarios and turning them into something practical and prescriptive. So now in this slide, we're going to showcase the AI simulation module in action. So, for example, once you log in, you will navigate to the AI simulation module, where we can see a dashboard. Let me go there. So you will see a dashboard of simulation campaigns. So you have all the campaigns that you have there. So each campaign has, again, similarly has access control. So who can have access to it and so forth. And you can also obviously you view, edit, create, delete simulations or there. So it's just being blocked. You also see the status of each of the campaign, whether is you still drafting, you have completed it, or you are still running it. On there. So for example, you can ask what if questions, for example, maybe maybe it could be a store layout thing. So which of the 5 proposed store layout will give you the highest sales conversion before Christmas, for example, or a certain kind of like marketing event, which store are best suited to run this promotion. Maybe that promotion isn't suitable for all stores. Some of the stores will react positively, some of them won't. Maybe you should run a different one. So these are all those things that you can simulate, or maybe at which time of the year should we roll out that campaign? Like which time, which store, all of this. So now then within each of the campaign form view, then you can come into here, the form view. The users can upload the store environment. So you can select the different floor plan, which floor plan to use. You can define your shopper demographic. You can all the different category that you have, or even choose how many times that you want to run the campaign on. So for example, if I show you the floor plan, if I move this lower, so this is your baseline. So this is your original floor plan. This is how your layout is at the moment, your different zone. Now let's do a simulation on you want to adjust your floor plan. So for example, now originally here it's cosmetic. But now you're going to change it with maybe this zone. So this zone is a body wash. So maybe you want to swap that around. So let's move this to body wash, bath and body. And this one instead, we're going to change it to maybe a what was it before? Maybe it was skincare. So let's say on there, or maybe another one, let's say makeup. Let's do makeup and cosmetic, for example. You can do that. You can even add a promotion sign, and then you can give it, say, 50% off. Like maybe you have done a signage and you actually put it there. And then you can see how effective that signage is there. Or you have another checkout. This is a self-service kiosk, maybe. You can add those. So you can add different things into your floor plan. So you can adjust that. And of course, then you save that floor plan. And what you can then do simulation, the kind of results you're going to get is, for example, now I run that campaign and I'm looking at the different layout. My A layout, B layout, C layout, and so forth. What is the sales conversion, and is there an uplift? For example, not always that it will be a positive uplift. Maybe you actually have a downshift on there. So you can look at it that way. You can look at your sales conversion, your footfall, whether or not there's an uplift, and the flow. Now you have moved those display over. What is the impact on those flow? So now people, which was because previously it was here, so people would have naturally, after they look at here, they're going to look over there. Now they actually well, at least there was no negative impact. People after here, they actually go all the way there, even you are now at different side of the room or of your store. So you can do, it will give you an AI recommendation. You can input your own manual remark on there. And what you're looking at is the baseline and simulation result. Baseline is if you didn't change anything, that is what it will be with your current layout. Then the simulation is if you now change it to plan A or plan B, then that's your result. So obviously it looks promising. On that and on your sales revenue, on your sales conversion, and your transaction value. So again, baseline versus simulation on all the different product category. So maybe this new floor plan B wasn't that good for all your others. So maybe it wasn't always a positive impact, so forth. So you can look at all this and also look at the heat map, of course, and where you have changed. Initially, your limited edition was here, then now you have moved it over here, or your other stuff you have moved as well. So this is, and also quadrant analysis to tell you which zone is high performing, which zone is underperforming, and all your different zone, your different category, looking at those and specific category impact as well from your baseline to what is your after simulation. Obviously that looks really good, but that looks very bad. So you can look at that, and also what's the impact on your demographic, the shopper that come in, what is their flow now, has they drastically changed all the different flow. So this is where is very, very useful, very impactful. You can have all this before, prior to you actually changing a layout. So now let's look into that's on there, and also your KPI scorecard. Apologies, bear with me. I'll try to go as quickly as I can. Now, the KPI scorecard. So apart from there, so your management will probably want to see more specifically on the KPI. This is your baseline, and you set a target. Of course, you are making some change in order to make improvement. So maybe this was somewhere you would really want to increase. Currently, it was not as where your target is. Then you run your simulation will actually give you all reaching the target. Obviously, some of the specific thing like engagement duration, maybe it wasn't increased as much as you'd like it to be, and whether or not there's something that wasn't as good compared to before that. So you can look at all this as well. Now we'll talk a little bit more about the Monte Carlo simulation workspace. So for example, when for things that are not linear, where you not only just, it's not just a floor plan change. In a retail environment, other things are happening all at the same time. So it's not a controlled environment, of course. So you can set it in a Monte Carlo simulation, where again you put your simulation date range, you select all the different metrics so it's not just one metrics, but multiple metrics that you can choose there. You can choose your floor plan, of course, and then your shopper flow that you want to take into consideration. Maybe you just want to look at Monday, or you look at your different shopper type, different age group, or specific age group that you're just wanting to test out, and so forth. So this is where the Monte Carlo simulations workspace is. So now next, what we're going to, in this section, after this, we're going to look specifically more for different type of industry, how they can use and install analytics to accelerate their digital transformation journey, particularly from the lens of the IT directors and heads of digital for the health and beauty retail chains, for example, here. So we understand that many of you are already advancing towards a multi-channel initiative for retail chain. So whether through your loyalty apps, your click and collect, or your personalized online offer. But the challenge is clear. How do we connect that rich online behavior with what's happening inside your physical store? So those you can click on this proposal here. So we can look at all the different goals, the different KPI framework from the business impact to customer experience to sales campaign effectiveness to operational efficiency, and also by different level. For example, for the C-level management, they're more about strategic business outcomes. And these are the KPI, the metrics you're wanting to measure and to get from sales conversion, promotion, uplift, ROI, to the customer lifetime value, like branch excitement index, from all of this, and then to the departmental level, marketing, operation department, store development department. So there are different promotional attracted footfall, to in-store event engagement rate, to store layout engagement rate, to your average transaction value, all those, to process, to the store level, to merchandising, store manager, and the category owner, to like zone cross traffic index, zone dwell time, shopper conversion, engaged shopper conversion rates, not just footfall conversion rate, but it's those that are engaged, how was their conversion, all this, to a more tactical, the real-time execution, so that you send them alerts if it's meet this trigger point, all those on shelf availability. So you have lots of delivery, but are they on the shelf or are they just still in boxes on your aisle? Yeah. So looking at all those things. So the different level of customized metrics and KPI for the health and beauty retail chain. So we were on the hardware store. So we were talking about how hardware store was their stock availability and timing was everything. And so we helped the retailers to ensure the stock is on the shelf when it matters most. And our system can detect things like empty shelves automatically. They can alert the manager when the aisle are obstructed by stock or leathers or delivery boxes on the floor. So it can highlight patterns when replenishment is frequently delayed. So these are then the different requirement, the different kind of metrics, as you can see, very different from the health and beauty retail stores. So here you can look at this one. It then goes through the is a whole proposal for the hardware store and key KPI index, like again for the top level for strategic business KPI. Of course, you have the sales conversion, the footfall growth, the average transaction value. We also have a more customer experience index. And from the operational side, you have the queue, you have staff to customer ratio to see whether or not it is capable of serving this number of staff, stock availability rate. So that's another metrics that can customize on there. Empty shelf frequency to behavioral and customer engagement KPI, like their dwell time, their cross-sell between the different aisle, to promotional uplift, to more the technical side from this is more on the technical side, like device uptime, automation, feedback rate, and so forth. And there are also other more customized things like ethnic demographic penetration. Are you penetrating to different ethnicity, or also type of customer? So how many are trade person coming in to get things in the morning so that they go back to do their work at their client site, or is it more on the domestic like homeowner who just want to do a DIY job? So you can look at this kind of thing, and also whether the promotion, they're only coming here for the promotion part, the loss leader conversion rate. So these are more specific, more tailored, customized metrics for a hardware retailer. And the next one for convenience store chains. So this, we are talking about news agents, express supermarket, or like things like 7-Elevens, those type. So they're wanting to optimize their store operation and increase their basket size. Of course, they want to optimize it. And often these are very huge convenience store chain where every second counts. So people don't come in here to browse and shop. Typically, people come in, they have something to buy, they grab it, or like especially during peak hour, if you have a long queue, it just means walkouts. So, and frustrated shopper, and they're likely not to come back to this branch again. They'll just go to your competitor. So and in here you can look at more specific KPI that they're looking for the top management again, like sales per square foot, the chain-wide conversion rate, and the customer's experience index, the labor cost percentage, down to like the expansion effectiveness, to like where should they expand if they're opening another new store, is that covering a new market, or is that going to eat into the market share of the existing store? So things like this, operational KPI, of course, the stock out rate, the shrinkage, which is very common, staff productivity, down to like the location of the staff, how, especially like in night shift where the operational visibility is very low, typically. So you can monitor the staff positioning and availability. So for example, at late night, are they at the front of the store serving customer, or they're spending a disproportionate time in the back room, and things like this. Of course, they need to do work at the back room, but what is the proportion of that? So those are like labor scheduling accuracy. When you have the shift, did they turn up? They turn up, did they complete their shift at the storefront, or things like this? And also things down to engagement, experience, KPI, impulse purchase rate is something typical in a convenience store. You go in, but for a packet of crisps, and then you end up buying drinks, you end up buying, other stuff as well. So the impulse buying rate and so forth. So again, these are more customized, typical for, we have lots of those different metrics that are specific for convenience store. The next one, fashion retailer, but for a global brand. So for example, you want to customize the luxury retail intelligence across a global market. So especially for high-end fashion brand, so understanding your in-store customer isn't just a luxury, it is a necessity. So with our system, you will gain deep visibility into who your shoppers are, their age, gender, demographic group, and how they interact with your brand inside the shop. So how many are truly engaged with the new arrivals, how many gravitate toward the sales rail, and how many are simply just casual browsing. So, and it's not only just the shopper behavior that you're collecting, it's also about the staff orchestration. So we can help you answer questions like, are groups of customers being served promptly during the peak hour? So when you have lots of people, then you have new customer coming in, are they being greeted promptly? So are you still able to meet that KPI? And do we have the right staff coverage across the different zones and different time periods? And are staff consistently initiating the engagement, or are we missing the conversion matters? So very different from the other retail segment. So in here again, for them, like the same store sales growth within it, the gross margin on it, and the customer lifetime value. A lot of time with this luxury retail, the VIP is very important. So they are not getting new customer that often. So once you grab a customer, you want to extend their lifetime in it. So the brand relevance index, their customer experience and engagement is key. So your net promoter score, your customer satisfaction index, your dressing room utilization rate, and obviously engagement to sales conversion, all those VIP engagement rates, sell-through rate, stock availability, of course, because then you have like different sizes and cross-selling, so forth. Again, seasonal, So like when you have a new season coming up, what is the reaction to it? The seasonal sell-through speed, and of course, in all those your store operational innovation and market adaptation. For that, your social media, how was your TikTok video response? Does it bring people in when you have an influencer doing a TikTok show, like a clip? How was that response to it? On those. So those are very specific metrics for the luxury retail. Now, F&B retail chain, often fast food chain, quick service restaurants, their success hinges on speed, their seat turnover, and staff performance, especially during peak hour as well. So with our system, we can bring clarity into, are the seats fully utilized during the rush? What happens during the queue build-up? Does more staff come here to respond, and so forth? And did they wonder while they're waiting for their food? How long was this dwell time? All this. So looking into their KPI. So these are all a bit more specific for the F&B. So repeat visit rate, the brand loyalty, queue is very important to them. Order fulfillment accuracy, to like kitchen throughput efficiency. The staff productivity, especially like during mealtime, there's the peak hour, and so forth. So again, like the queue abandonment, loyalty programming, enrollment rate. So these are all the things for a more QSR on there. So next, we're going to talk about the next upcoming workshop, because prescriptive analytics that bridge from your data to your decision. And in the next webinar, we're going to dive deeper into this. So it's not just showing what happened with your data, but it's actually recommending what you should do next. And at the core of this is the powerful AI engine that runs the what-if simulation and scenario testing. So it helps you ask real operational questions such as, if I deploy 3 more staff members during the weekend rush, will that reduce the queue abandonment? What if I relay out my shelves using 5 different proposed plan? How would the shopper flow change? Or if I run a seasonal promotion on my kids range before Christmas instead of after Christmas, what is a predicted uplift in sales? So we're going to talk a little bit more in a real scenario. So this is not guesswork, it's backed by the predictive model. So we can see how we can generate actionable recommendation. And also, not just for the different industry, but within your business for the different stakeholders. So for example, operations would want faster service time and less waste, whereas sales teams care about their conversion rate and footfall uplift, and marketing, of course, tracks the campaign impact and the zone engagement, maybe. So your property manager wants to know about where they should open the next store for your expansion plan. And then you talk about also, these are different departments, and then you talk about the different hierarchy. So store manager maybe wants to look at the queue length and the floor staff availability, whereas regional manager might want to benchmark the store performance. So from there to IT, to finance, to security as well. So we're going to talk a little bit more into that, and through either through a mobile app or a desktop dashboard with those real-time scores, alerts, and improvement suggestions. So we're going to talk more about those. So do encourage you to come into the next webinar. So we're going to cover all those KPI for the different stakeholders. We talk a bit more about the different onto the system design in the RFP, and also to the RFQ, where we talk about more setup costing and procurement insights, as well as all these other AI simulator to maximize sales with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Melissa, for the insightful presentation. Covered some great points today. I'm sure our audience had a lot of questions for it. And yes, so we did receive some great questions, so we will now move on to the Q&A.
Okay. First question, can your system actually align with our unique team goals, or are we stuck with pre-built KPIs? Now, this is exactly very important. So that's precisely why we built the custom metrics factory. So rather than forcing you into a rigid templates, it allows you to define your own KPIs. We do come up with a lot of templates to make starting easy, but the key point there is so that you can build your own based on your own actual business objectives. So whether that's minimizing your queue abandonment, improving a staff deployment efficiency, or identifying where are the underperforming stores. So our platform turns operational nuances into measurable, reportable and trackable metrics. And good thing about it is no coding required on that. Next question, how do you ensure that the AI simulation gives us something actionable and not just generic trends? So the AI simulator is trained using your own store data. They're not generic retail assumptions or the industry standard or the industry benchmark or somebody else's data. It's your own store data. So it tests the scenario based on your own real customer behavior, your actual staff movement, your actual store layout. So the output is not a report. It is a set of prescriptive action. So you might say, hire one more cashier from 5 to 6 p.m. Or say reconfigure your dining area to reduce the meal completion time by 7%. So it can go into specific, like this is very specific for your store. And the thing is, that's what is simulating and then translating it to a direct action. You can obviously choose to follow or not follow. And whatever you do, it then measures the outcome of it. So if you followed it, what is that? That's it aligned with its prediction. If it's not, it's still learning. If it is, it will learn too. And if you did not follow, then you know what are the impact on them. We'll do one last question. This sounds good in theory. How quickly can this be deployed and actually used by our team? It does take time, so it's not going to be in 2 days, but you'll be operational within 6 to 8 weeks. So nearly about a month and a half to 2 months with the typical store chain setup. So our onboarding includes the mapping of your goals, because you need to get involved. So we need to know your goals, the ingestion of all your historical data, and the training of the AI simulation model. So the software UI is designed for operational staff, so it's not just data scientists. So your team can start using it with a minimal fraction. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Melissa, for the wonderful presentation, and thank you everyone who attended the workshop today. And we'll see you again next week.
Thank you.